All right, ready to dive into a career that's, well, essential. We're talking water systems engineering technician today.
Absolutely. And we've got those RoleCatcher guides ready to unpack all the need-to-know info, right?
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as your cheat sheet. No information overload here.
It's like being what's a good analogy? The detective of water systems.
Okay, I like that. So you're not just fixing a leaky faucet, you're ensuring those intricate networks, the one that deliver clean water to everyone, they're running smoothly.
Exactly. Safely and by the book, too.
Right, because it's one thing to turn on a tap and get water, it's another to understand the whole system behind it.
Totally. And that's where a water systems engineering technician comes in.
So let's break it down. What does a day in the life actually look like for someone in this role?
Well, first off, ditch that 9 to 5 desk job image. You're splitting time between the office, analyzing data, reviewing blueprints.
Okay, so some office time, but then,
Then it's boots on the ground at water treatment plants.
oh wow, so we're talking hands-on here.
Absolutely. Sometimes even some outdoor work. Rain or shine, let's just say.
Okay, that's way more dynamic than I pictured. So it's not just about those technical skills, but also being adaptable.
Exactly. You've got to have that mental and physical stamina.
Right, because clean water can't exactly wait for a sunny day. Right.
Exactly. Now, on the plus side, the job market is generally considered pretty stable for this role.
Which, in today's world, that's a big deal. People always need water.
It's a basic necessity, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's flip the coin for a second. What are some challenges or drawbacks someone should be aware of before, diving in?
Honestly, hazards. We're talking water treatment, chemicals.
Right, safety first.
Totally. And there are strict protocols, thorough training, all that. But it's something to be mindful of going in.
Makes sense. It's not just about being okay working outdoors. It's also being aware of potential hazards in those environments.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered the day-to-day, the pros, the cons, but what about the career ladder itself? Is this a field with room for advancement, or is it more of a plateau?
It's not always a straight shot, but there definitely are rungs to climb. You could move into those senior technician roles, supervisory positions, even management.
Okay, so there's potential there, but what's the key to moving up?
Specialization. That's where it's at.
Spiralization. Interesting. Tell me more about that.
Think about it. You could become the expert in, say, water treatment processes, maybe distribution systems, even something like water quality analysis.
So you're saying it's not just about being a jack of all trades, it's about finding your niche within the field.
Exactly. And that's where additional certifications, constantly learning, those come in handy.
So you're not just learning on the job, you're actively expanding your knowledge base to move up.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's rewind for a bit. For those just starting out, what are the typical educational paths to becoming a water systems engineering technician? Is it a 4-year degree or are there other options?
So a 4-year degree isn't always a must-have, but it is becoming more and more valuable, gotta say.
So it's becoming the standard, but it's not the only way in.
Right. An associate degree, a certification in a relevant field, those are good starting points. Think water technology, environmental engineering.
So getting that foundational knowledge,
Mhm.
then building on it with experience. And speaking of experience, I imagine internships are crucial in this field.
Oh, they're gold. Getting that hands-on experience, whether it's with engineering firms, water treatment plants, even government agencies can be a great option.
So it's not just about learning the theory, it's
Yeah.
about seeing how it's applied in the real world.
Exactly. Those real-world situations, think of them like case studies you can talk about later in interviews.
That's such a good point. You're building that mental toolbox of scenarios. Okay, so you've aced the internships, you've got the education. Now, what about the actual skills and knowledge that are essential to really excel in this role?
So on the technical side, you got to have a strong understanding of the water treatment processes. I'm talking everything from coagulation to disinfection.
Wow, so you're not just fixing a pipe, you're understanding how to make sure the water itself is safe.
Exactly. And it's not just about fixing a specific issue, it's understanding how the entire water cycle works. Sourcing, treatment, distribution, the whole thing.
So you're like a water wizard,
Something like that.
but it can't be all technical, right? What about those all-important soft skills, the ones you don't learn from a textbook?
Communication is key, for sure. You're the bridge between engineers, other technicians, even the public sometimes.
Right, because I imagine a water treatment plant isn't exactly known for its casual chit-chat.
Exactly. So you've got to be able to explain complex info clearly, whether it's a blueprint or a water quality report.
Makes sense. So communication is up there. What else?
Problem solving for sure. Water systems are intricate, things go wrong, and you have to think on your feet, analyze, and find solutions fast.
So you're like a detective, but for water.
Haha, there we go. That's a good one.
Okay, so let's say someone is listening and they're convinced this is the career for them. They've got the skills, the passion, they're ready to go. What's the best way to land that dream job as a water systems engineering technician?
First things first, ditch the generic resume. Do your research.
Okay, so you're saying don't just apply to every water-related job posting out there.
Right. Identify those companies, organizations that really resonate with you. What are they working on? Cutting-edge technologies, sustainability, find your match.
It's not just about getting a job. It's about finding the right fit. I love that. Okay, you've done the research, you've tailored that resume, and boom, you get the interview. Now what?
All right, well, be prepared to answer some common questions. One classic is, what inspired you to pursue this career path?
It seems straightforward, but I bet you've got some advice on how to really nail that answer.
Definitely. This is your chance to showcase your genuine interest. Are you passionate about water conservation? Do you have a personal connection to this field? Let them know.
It's about showing them you're not just there for a paycheck, you're invested in the work.
Exactly. And be ready to talk about your experience, too. They'll probably ask something like, describe a time you had to troubleshoot a problem with a water system.
So it's not enough to just know the theory. You have to show them you can apply it.
Exactly. Give them specific examples from internships, previous jobs, even personal projects if they're relevant.
Show, don't tell. Always good advice. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Now, I'm curious about the actual career progression. Can you paint a picture of what that might look like for a water systems engineering technician, starting with entry level?
All right, picture this. You walk into a room, screens everywhere, showing a real-time map of the entire city's water network. Pipes, valves, the works.
Okay, hold on. Are we talking some Mission Impossible tech here?
Pretty close. This is the world of SCADA systems.
SCADA systems. All right, you're going to have to break that down for me.
So basically, these systems use sensors all over the network, from those underground pipes to the treatment plants. They're constantly feeding data back on water flow, pressure, even quality.
So it's like having a heartbeat monitor, but for the entire city's water supply.
That's a great way to put it. You're not waiting for a problem to happen. You're catching it before it even starts.
Talk about preventative maintenance. Okay,
Right.
That's pretty amazing. What other tech is, changing the game in this field?
Well, imagine taking all that data from SCADA and overlaying it onto a detailed map of the city. That's where GIS comes in.
GIS being?
Geographic information systems. Basically, you're not just seeing numbers, you're seeing how everything is connected spatially.
So you could see how a pressure change in one part of town might affect another, even if they're miles apart.
Exactly. And this tech is only getting more advanced. We're talking sensors that can detect a leak in a pipe before it even bursts.
Wow, okay, that's next level. It's not just about someone with a wrench and a flashlight anymore. But it's not all high-tech solutions, right? Sustainability has to be a huge part of this field, too.
Huge, absolutely. It's baked into everything a water systems engineering technician does, really.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, think about it. Reducing water loss through those high-tech leak detection systems we talked about, that's sustainability in action. Optimizing treatment plants to use less energy. Even implementing programs for water reuse.
So you're not just maintaining a system, you're constantly looking for ways to improve it, make it more efficient.
Exactly. And that ties into another big trend, climate change.
Right, because as weather patterns become less predictable, we need systems that can handle anything, right?
Exactly. Droughts one year, floods the next. These systems have to be resilient. And that's where the expertise of a water systems engineering technician is more important than ever.
It's like you're future-proofing our water supply, which is a pretty big deal.
It is. And it's not just about the technical stuff either. There's a human side to this career that's just as important.
Oh, absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's about the people, right? It's
Mhm.
about making sure communities have access to clean, safe water.
Exactly. You're not just working with pipes and valves, you're dealing with a resource that's essential for life.
So how does that, that human element, how does that actually play out in this role?
Well, communication is a big one. Imagine having to explain a complicated water treatment process to a group of residents, or maybe calm concerns about water quality after a main break.
Right, because not everyone speaks water treatment as a second language, right?
Exactly. You're that bridge between the technical jargon and everyday understanding.
So you need that ability to connect with people, build trust, explain things in a way that makes sense.
You got it. It's about listening to those community concerns, understanding their needs, and then making sure those needs are reflected in how the water system is designed and maintained.
It's about being an advocate, both for the water and the people.
Exactly. And that goes back to finding the right job, too. During an interview, don't be afraid to ask about a company's commitment to community engagement, their sustainability initiatives.
Right, because it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. Now, remember those behavioral interview questions we touched on? Those tell me about a time questions.
Oh, yeah, those are classics.
Let's dive into those a bit more. Any tips on how to really nail those?
Absolutely. Remember the STAR method.
Refresh my memory.
Situation, task, action, result. So let's say they ask you, tell me about a time you had to solve a complex problem under pressure. Instead of rambling, use STAR to structure your answer.
So you start by describing the specific problem, then your role in addressing it, the actions you took, and then boom, the positive outcome you achieved.
Exactly. It not only shows them you can handle pressure, but you can communicate clearly about it too, which is so important in this field.
It's like you're telling a mini story that highlights your skills. Hey, that's a great strategy. Now, we've talked a lot about the day-to-day, but let's zoom out for a second. What are some of the, the big picture trends shaping the future of water systems engineering?
Well, we talked about climate change, but urbanization is another huge factor. More people are moving to cities, which puts a strain on existing infrastructure.
Right, it's not just about providing water, it's about providing enough water for a rapidly growing population.
Exactly, and that means creative solutions. Building new, smarter treatment plants, implementing water conservation programs on a massive scale.
Doing more with less, basically, which is a challenge in itself.
Oh, for sure. And then there's the issue of aging infrastructure. A lot of these water systems, they're decades old and in dire need of repair or even replacement.
That sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is, but it's essential. And this is where a career in water systems engineering gets really exciting, I think.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, it's about being at the forefront of innovation, right? Using new technologies and approaches to address these global challenges and ultimately ensure a water-secure future for everyone.
So it's about problem solving, but on a global scale. That's pretty incredible.
It is. It's a big responsibility, but also incredibly rewarding.
Okay, so let's say you've landed that dream job. You're a few years in, you've got some experience under your belt, and you're ready to, climb that career ladder. What are some concrete steps someone can take to move up in the world of water systems engineering?
Right, because this isn't a field where you just stay stagnant. Continuous learning is key, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Certifications are a big one. We mentioned those EPA certifications earlier.
Right, those are important for water treatment, if I remember correctly. Exactly, but also look into those offered by professional organizations like the American Water Works Association. Those carry a lot of weight in the industry.
So it's like leveling up your skills, showing you're serious about your career. And what about advanced degrees? Are those valuable in this field?
Definitely. A master's degree in, say, environmental engineering or water resource management, that can open a lot of doors. You might move into more specialized roles, leadership positions, even research opportunities.
So you could go from managing a water treatment plant to designing one.
Exactly. But it's not all about the degrees and certifications. Networking is huge. Go to conferences, join professional organizations, find some mentors. Those connections can be invaluable for career growth.
It's about building a community, right? Colleagues, mentors, even future collaborators.
Yeah. Exactly. And that community, it extends far beyond just the traditional roles you might think of.
Okay, now you've got me really intrigued.
Yeah.
What are some of those, those hidden opportunities within the water sector that someone with this background might be perfect for?
Well, think about the policy side for a second.
Policy. Okay, so we're going beyond the treatment plants and the pipes now.
Exactly. Someone with your technical background, they could work for an environmental NGO, a government agency, maybe even an international organization shaping water regulations, advocating for sustainable practices.
So you could go from, ensuring a city's water flows smoothly to influencing how entire countries manage this precious resource.
Wow, it's a big deal. Or how about this? The whole field of water data analytics, it's huge right now.
Data analytics. So we're talking big data, but for water.
Exactly. Think about all that sensor data from those SCADA systems, analyzing it to predict droughts, optimize water usage, even prevent those future crises we talked about.
So it's not just about fixing problems as they come up. It's about using data to be proactive.
Exactly. And that's where someone with a water systems engineering technician background, with their practical knowledge, they could be incredibly valuable.
That's amazing. It's like you're not just working in the field, you're shaping the future of the field.
Right. And it all comes back to this, recognizing the human impact. Every decision made, every system designed, it affects people's lives.
Because at the end of the day, it's not about the pipes or the pumps. It's about the people those systems serve.
Exactly. Imagine a community facing water shortages, right?
Yay. Tough situation.
A purely technical solution, well, that might be to just ration supplies, right? Cut everyone back. But a water systems engineering technician, they're thinking about that human element. Maybe they propose a community outreach program teaching people how to conserve water at home.
That's a fantastic example. It's not just about what works on paper. It's about what works for people.
Exactly. And that requires that unique blend of, well, technical expertise, communication skills, and just plain empathy.
It's about being a problem solver, a communicator, and an advocate, all rolled into one.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. I mean, from the nuts and bolts of the job to the global challenges facing the water sector. For our listeners who are, taking it all in, what are some key takeaways you want them to remember about a career as a water systems engineering technician? That's a good question. I'd say, first and foremost, remember this. You're not just choosing a job. You're choosing to make a difference. This isn't about sitting at a desk all day. It's about protecting public health. It's about safeguarding a vital resource. It's about ensuring a sustainable future for everyone.
It's a career with a purpose, for sure. That's huge.
Absolutely. Second, remember that this field, it's not static. What we know today, it might be different tomorrow. So embrace that change. Stay curious. And never stop learning.
Right, because the world of water, it's vast, and there's always something new to discover.
Exactly. And finally, remember this. You're not alone. There's a whole community of water professionals out there. Researchers, policymakers, advocates, all working toward the same goal. A water-secure future for everyone.
That's a powerful thought. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of water systems engineering technicians.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise. To our listeners, we hope you found this insightful, maybe even inspiring. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.